Hello. Today's episode number 122 of the Professor Slots podcast discusses learning from casino reviews. Plus, in this episode, I'll be covering the current state of slot machine casino gambling in the great U.S. state of Delaware. Thank you for joining me for the Professor Slots podcast show. I'm John Friedel, and this is the podcast about slot machine casino gambling. It is where I provide knowledge, insights, and tools for helping you improve your slot machine gambling performance. In case you missed it, on my last episode, I went over tribal gaming from my weekly live stream Q&A session on YouTube. Further, I reviewed Connecticut slot machine casino gambling in 2020. I hope you enjoyed listening to my last episode as much as I enjoyed making it for you. Remember to visit professorslots.com/subscribe to get my free report revealing the top 7 online resources for improving your gambling performance, including the one I've used as a top-tier slot machine casino gambler. Here's the audio recording of my latest live stream Q&A session. Hello, slots enthusiasts. How are you? My name is John Friedel. I almost forgot my mic. Welcome to Professor Slots, a channel dedicated to mastering casino slots so you can win your way to success. Today, we're going to be diving into my prior casino trip reports. But first, thank you. I want to say thank you to Chuck. He gave me a super chat and says "Merry Happy" as part of the chat. So thank you so much for that donation. My name is John Friedel, and welcome to Professor Slots. I also have a co-host today, which I almost neglected to mention. You can sort of see him on my left. Over on the couch. I have a new kind of studio setup, and we may get visitations from co-hosts of the feline persuasion. So welcome, and let's see. It's great to see you all here again for another Professor Slots podcast episode and live stream. We're doing both here. So if you're with us live, be sure to say hello and ask your slots related questions. I'll get to some of those later in the show. So this is, I'm wearing my red for Christmas, and this is our, as it were, holiday show. Thank you, Chuck, for confirming the audio is good. When you unplug everything and plug everything back in, sometimes it ends up different than it was before. Right. So, right here at the start, I wanted to wish everybody a, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. We have the way this live stream works as far as attendance is, it seems to be about, 3-4 times as many people at the end. So I'll be sure to say that again. It's nice to see all the regulars here right here at the beginning. Chuck is here. He has to go. He's traveling. I expect a lot of people might miss it. But holidays and all that coming up. Michael. Hi, Michael. Shannon. Steve from Green Bay. Bruce is here. He's in Vancouver. And Chuck already has a question. Best time to gamble next weekend. Let's see. I don't have my calendar in front of me. Which day of the week is Christmas Day? It gets pretty fast and furious. The best day to gamble is the morning after a busy night at your casino. I don't know if your casino is going to be busy Christmas night, Christmas Eve night, New Year's Day, New Year's evening, New Year's Eve, probably. Usually, traditionally is, but it's such a weird year this year. It's the morning after when things are busy. So, right. And Margie is here from Connecticut. Wonderful. And so, wanted to say hello to everybody and just sort of give you, before we get into my prior casino trip reports, something I'm working on. Wanted to have just let you know that apparently things are going great. In the last week, my YouTube views have tripled. Watch time has tripled. Subscribers from 1 week ago to 1 month later, which is about 3.5 weeks away, looks like it might go from 3,000 to 6,000, double on subscribers. So whatever it is that you guys are doing, I hope I can continue to support this and not freak out too much by all the excitement. It is wonderful to see. It's not like as many of you know, and I'll get to the point soon. As many of you know, I was laid off 4 months ago, and this is my attempt to recover from that. And I'm, eating through my savings slowly, but hopefully this works. AK McCarthy says, "Hey, I caught you from the beginning. We were just talking about all of the people who show up right at the end. I mean, I get like 10 questions within the last 90 seconds, and I go 2 minutes over the live stream just trying to hit those." So Lois and David here, family friends, they're wishing me us a Merry Christmas. To everybody from Ontario. So more Canadians, international group in the chat. So with a bigger audience growing the way that it is, and hopefully continuing to do so, I'll do everything I can to make that happen. I'm and the new year coming. There is more to be. Let's see, put that away. More to be done with the channel. One of the changes that are going to take place, and I'll just try to keep this on the interesting stuff. This live stream is meant to be a community event. It's where you can see me, I'm talking to you, you can be in the live chat, you can let me know what you think of this or that and ask your questions. And this is for community. And I found that it doesn't get a lot of watches, except for people who might miss. Doesn't get a lot of watch time or views after the live is over, because live is fun, but watching it afterwards is not as much fun. And so I will keep the live streams available, but then I'm going to unlist them. This is something I always plan to do, but now it's time because people are like, "Wow, you take an hour to tell me something," and I'm like, "No, well, okay." I will. Be unlisting all the live streams. I've already done some because, a year ago it was just rambling, and funny how much doesn't change after a year. So if you want to see any of the live streams ever, well, you can listen to them because they'll always be part of the podcast. And many of you who are listening right now are listening on the podcast. So those will not go away. Those will always be available. But for those of you on YouTube, that's not going to be someplace you're going to be able to find them after, I don't know, it might last as long as a month before I unlist them. We'll see. The numbers just drop right off. And when that happens, I'll unlist it. So just letting you know. Don't wait too long if you miss a live stream because you might have some difficulty finding the video, but you'll always be able to find the podcast. Let's see. Jason's here. Jason gets a lot of stuff done. It's great to see the level of interest he has in slots. Right. So today, well, let's see. Next week will be the last live stream of the year. And I'll be talking about kind of how this year went and what my plans are for next year and what I think is coming up for slots in, at least in the United States and maybe Canada a bit, and let you know of trends that I'm seeing and sort of have a discussion of where we've come from and where we're going. And that'll be next week. This week, one of the features that I'm adding, I think I've mentioned this in the past, and it's been interrupted by currently being at purple level here in my county in Ohio. Not really a laughing matter where coronavirus is kind of taken off. So a lot of people sick. And so I have not risked going to the casino. But that is imminent, and I have gone in the past. So I'm going to go through some of the stuff that the casino reviews that I have done, trip reports that I have done, and kind of talk them over and see if you have questions. Also kind of gauge interest, because one of the things I want to do is at least monthly, maybe weekly, somewhere in between there, likely, to I've got my equipment in, so now I have a mobile studio, just my car, and the passenger side lighting. I'm wired for sound. I'm wired for video. I'm set up that way to go to the casino, actually prepare for the casino beforehand. And that's one of the points I'm going to be making with some of these articles I'm going to show you. Go to the casino after preparing and doing what I can before I go there. Sometimes there's a lot of information, a lot of good information. Make decisions before you go. And what I did then is, and I'll get to questions. Then go in, and when I come out, give you like a report immediately from the car, instead of driving half a day or taking a flight back home or something and then doing it, because I just want to give you my instant impressions and my preparation beforehand as well, sort of combo. But if it's not interesting, I won't do it. And I would love to do it by every week, and I might be able to do that, but the problem becomes sometimes I'm going to have to fly, because when I'm here, there's 50 casinos within 100 miles, luckily, of where I am. Unfortunately, not one of them is tribal, so I have to go a little bit further. I think it's 300 miles to get to the closest tribal casino, which is on my very important on my list to go to that. So if I can do once a week, I will. But sometimes I'm going to have to get on a plane and fly to the state of Washington or something. Right. So a very active live chat today. So let's start going through some of my prior casino trip reports, so you can get an understanding. The intent of and I'm kind of half not scripted. So one of the things I'm trying to do is what I'm trying to do is, I present on how to use winning strategies, but I also, what they are. But then I want to be able to show you what it's really like when you go to a casino. Now, I have no intention of recording inside of the casino. There's way too many problems with doing that. For one thing, I may never go back to the same casino. One casino, next casino, and that's not. You can't get a contract to record inside a casino, and I have my qualms about that because, well, details. Just for one doing it once, not so much. So if I had a regular casino that I went to all the time, that might be another way, but that's plenty of other slots channels do that. I don't need to do that. And what I show is how to find a winning slot machine, not what playing a winning slot machine is like, right? The juice, the good part of what I have to offer is which casino. And we've got a winner. Jason has given me a donation of $25, and it's a super chat. And he says this is 5 free spins. So apparently he makes a lot of $5 bets on slot machines, and he just gave me 5 free spins. Thank you so much, Jason. I very much appreciate it. Everything supports the business, and I'd love to be able to continue to do this work for you guys. Should be able to for a little while, but I gotta make a living. No reason to feel bad about that. So, right. When, there's, I can talk about how to win and tell you what happened when I learned these things and all of that. And that's maybe enough, but I want to push it a little bit further. And that's to actually go out cold to a casino I've never been to before. Maybe just before I go, I'll do some online research to see if there's any return statistics. Indiana has them. Ohio has them. Michigan doesn't. And, just show you what it's like to walk in. Now, there's been, how far do I take this? There are plenty of people who are very excited about something called a coin pusher, people in West Virginia, for instance. And I found out that a lot of the Pilots and Loves truck stops in Kentucky, which is not too far away from me, at least the border, is where they have these coin pushers, which are sort of slot machines, maybe. Anyway, hit one of those once, and HIR machines and some of the other special interest stuff that only happens in certain parts of the country, but could spread a little bit. So I want to show you what it's like to walk into a regular casino, a tribal casino, class 2 machines, class 3 machines, coin pushers, HHR occasionally, and show you what it's like to walk in and assess, right? And find winning machines. Riverboat casinos would be another good example where, these casinos aren't places that have a central server, or at least if they do, it's very limited and not like other casinos. They might be able to run a slot tournament, but they don't remotely control all the slot machines. Which, by the way, if Chuck is still here, that's important to him because he plays at riverboat casinos. So you're limited to what you might find. Does that make sense? I'm not trying to make you more lucky. I'm trying to point out what casinos do as far as business practices. And if you spot this business practice, then you respond with this approach. People have, a lot of comments, hundreds of comments on YouTube these days. And people come back and say, well, the only win immediately didn't work at my casino. And I'm like, well, 1 in 4. Yeah. And but hopefully they have more than one casino near them. So 1 in 3 in the Midwest and East, but 1 in 4 in like tribal casinos in California. One of my audience members was kind enough to do that, to check a bunch of casinos in California, and came out with 1 in 4. So yeah, excellent. So Jason is quoting Roman philosopher Seneca. Is it? Luck equals preparation plus opportunity, right? Okay. Now I'm going to share my screen and see if that'll work. It should show up for you in a few seconds. This is my website, and I'm going to make myself smaller. Okay, so this is my website, my main page, and this is what it looks like if you are. This is what it looks like if you are looking at a desktop. If I shrink this down a little bit there. No, a little bit more. There. This is what it looks like on mobile, where you have this menu option and you have to click it and then these open. But when you're on a desktop, so this is just basically how you get around. And so if you go to articles, you can look at casinos. And if you were to click that, this will be the casino trip reports that I'm talking about. Next year, I will be adding plenty of them, and that's where you'll be able to find them, as well as the video being on YouTube and the audio. Well, we'll see what gets to the podcast. So for the first article is here, Seminole Brighton Casino, Florida trip report. This is the one, Seminole Brighton is one of the Seminole tribal casinos in Florida. It's about 3 hours south of Orlando. This is my this is my family's favorite casino, or at least the one in Florida. There's another one in Michigan, and I don't think I have a picture of Dave and Lois who are in the live chat. Yep, I have it on low latency, Paula, so it should come up. Thank you. Appreciate the feedback. Right. Uh, uh, right. I'll let Paula do her job. Whatever that is. Okay, so family and friends asked me to come to their favorite casino and review it with them. So I made arrangements for a 2-day trip, fly in the day before, fly out the next day, and basically do what I usually do. Have about 3 hours of time to assess and build understanding of what's going on at that casino, and so I did that. Now. Uh, it started before the trip, of course. I prepared for the trip by reviewing Florida slots. I have an article on that. That's something that you can find here. This is important for you. If you are on my main page, there's the state by state tab, and there's a summary article here, which is an alphabetical listing of summaries of each of 56 different articles, and I do one per week. Last week was Delaware. Next week is District of Columbia. Not that District of Columbia has much, but Delaware is interesting. So week by week, I go through these, and I've been through them 3 times, and I'm now my 4th time through them. And this is where you find my latest review, Delaware slots in 2020. And then, right. So this summary article gives you each of those links, and that's the best way to go to it. But I also have the listing of every article, which I won't show you. And if you go to your state, you will learn what is available from reliable sources, if any, like the state or the casino, links to the casino, a casino map, a few other things. So that's how you connect with, preparing to go to your casino, is understanding kind of the legal situation. Gaming, even tribal gaming, is a lot of it is based on state law. So you have to understand your state in order to get the most out of your performance. It's kind of like if you leave that to the side, then you're not taking advantage of everything that you could be taking advantage of. So in a little while, well, now that's the state. But then if you go to this one, which is professorslots.com/FB, this is where you would find the Facebook groups. Now, this isn't about state law, these Facebook groups. These are private communities. Nobody knows that you're in it except the people that are in it. And I also have one for each state, but I also have Professor Slots enthusiasts all on Facebook. Some people don't like Facebook, but I don't disagree. But there are community rules for this, and it's about being, no profanity and all the usual stuff. It's meant to be a safe environment, and I try to do that. Right. So these links, won't take you to the state rules, the state regulations, but it will take you to people that go to those that play slots in those states. And a lot of people say, and this all relates to casino trip reports, because if I, do one a week, I can do, well, let's say 2 a week. If I can somehow manage to do 2 casino reviews a week, that's 100 a year, which is 10% of all the casinos in the United States, which means in 10 years, I could get to all 1,983 casinos in the United States. But the first one would be 10 years old by the time I get to the last one. So that ain't happening. Even if I try, you want to reassess your casino once a year, or if there's something like COVID, right? So these major changes, you could have an ownership change of a commercial casino, but you could also have a management change of a tribal casino. Did I mention we have 10,000? What is the number? I'll look at it live right now. Get rid of that. We're looking at 22,000 people, a little more than that, in the last 48 hours who have come to visit my YouTube channel. And it's going to be a lot of new people. And please welcome them. If that's appropriate. Otherwise, that's what happens. And I'm looking at our stats. We just, we jumped from 8 people at the beginning to 32 viewers. So enough of the warm up. Let's get into it. Should jump another 100 people by the time we get to the end of the show. Anyway, right. So if you want to know what's going on in your state, and you want to meet people, or at least ask them their opinion. You don't have to meet them at the casino, but you could be passing by them all the time and you might not realize it. So if you join your state's Facebook community, private again, then you can meet these people and you can talk about, well, what about that promotion this weekend, or what is about this, and did you go, and what's it like right now? What's the line like? Is it full? Just anything that's appropriate for this sort of thing. So I've set up this analysis of the state gaming regulations for every state, and I've set up a way for you to connect to your fellow slots enthusiasts in a state. And of course, it doesn't have to be the state that you live in, but the state that you play slots in. Even if you want to join the Nevada slots enthusiast group because you have an annual trip planned to Las Vegas, right? So this is there as a resource for you. And this matters because I can't be at every casino. Even it's not physically possible. And I would like to be home a couple days a week. And so, all right. Right. So we're going to have a little bit of this and that going on in the live chat, but don't worry. It isn't shown after the live stream. I switched that off. Okay. So let's get into a case by case. For Seminole, what I did was I did preparation beforehand. I won't necessarily get into detail about Florida slot state regulations, but they have tribal casinos, and then tribal casinos have these have class 3 slots, a few class 2, but mostly class 3. And right. And so that there's also arcades, senior centers, but that's not quite slot machines, even though they have a slot for coins. And the senior centers are more in the other parts of the state. And parimutuel, but horse racing, don't think there's any dog racing, if I remember correctly. So I did my trip research. I saw what there was to be said about Seminole. Went to their website, saw if they had any upcoming events. I got to tell you, check your websites for your favorite casinos, because I'm seeing a seismic change in those websites. Like you go to WinStar, they got a map on their webpage. I'm sure they've got an app and some other stuff I haven't really looked at, but the actual webpage will tell you, use GPS with your phone and tell you where you are in the casino. And you can apparently choose another location and it'll give you a route or something. This is just great stuff. Right. So, see what's available at your casino. And that's why I'm going to go to each one of these casinos that I have around me and select them. Because what I'm trying to do here is, maybe it's not your casino. How can it be? There's so many. But the approach that I'm taking, the pre-work, and how easy it is and what you might learn is an example. Right. I'm doing a lab, this is, we had lectures and we have recitations with the live stream. And then we have labs, which is where I go to the casino and try. My job is not to meet people there. That's fun and great, but it's not what I need to do for you when I'm there. Maybe later I'll get a group together or something like that, because we have Facebook groups where I can do that. But I'm going to cover up the whole Professor Slots thing. I usually, when I go to casinos, I usually dress down a little bit because I'm going to be doing a video after I leave for you, I'm going to have to figure out maybe portable shave kit or something. I don't know. And Lois and Dave were there. They're in the live chat, and they're kind enough to just point out in the live chat that they learned a lot. And yeah. And so when I got there, I asked questions of my family and my family's friends about kind of what they're interested in. And so because, high limits, not high limits, that sort of thing, it's just high level questions. And AK McGrath says I can always wear my derby hat. I got that at the Caesars forum. There's a place there called Kimosabi, and they had a size 8 hat. I've never found in my life a size 8 hat, and it was the only one I've ever found. They only had one, so I bought it. The little leather band bridle, I guess it's called, it was $200. The hat itself was made out of beaver, so I won't tell you how much it cost, but I did use my previous winnings from winning on slot machines to pay for it. But thanks. Wear my disguise. Right. So once I got there, there's only so much you can learn from a website. And so I kind of like looked around the casino to see what is up next to a venue. Where's the shopping? Does it have an attached hotel? Not that I needed it because I was flying out in a few hours. Kind of, assess the casino. And this is all going to be what I'm going to provide in these what I'm going to be providing in these reviews. But then this was one of my early ones. And what I was surprised by was I found something I recognized from one of the casinos that I'd already been to. Not to go through what I've already talked about here, but these are all details. I'm putting links to this article. There's no video. Putting links to this article in the video description, and also for the people listening on the podcast, maybe mowing their lawn or something. This will be in the show notes. So I had that initial group conversation, and then good questions asked, and I tried to do my best to answer them. This is a photo from the outside for Seminole Casino in Brighton, in the middle of a big reservation. So I spotted a known winning strategy. It was winning strategy 1 at the time. I've talked to people since. It's been over a year since I did this, just over. And I found out that with, maybe it was coronavirus, maybe it was just because it had been a year, this doesn't quite work there anymore. And it seems to be something else. So that's why, every year you want to reassess, because sometimes it's the economy, sometimes it's, health related, worldwide epidemics, whatever the reason, sometimes that can change a casino's business plans. And this is my father and myself, and his wife, Barb, who passed away a few weeks ago, unfortunately, suddenly. And Dave and Lois were there. So then sometimes afterwards I'll learn a bit more. Sometimes, 3 hours there, write it up, head back home. And I like to think about things. And sometimes I come up with like, oh yeah, that happened and that happened. And so I write up some of my post-trip thoughts. And then this time, Dave and Lois were kind enough to send me a follow-up a week later. And this is all of Dave and or Lois's winnings for playing on some of the things I help them with. And there's timestamps on all these and the date they occurred. And that's the sort of result where I learned what I learned. I said, this is what you do. And they were kind enough to come back later and show me evidence of their success. So that's more or less what I want to do on these upcoming trips. And look at that. 40 people in the stream right now. That's excellent. So there was another one. I haven't been to WinStar yet, but I was at Foxwoods, and Foxwoods at the time was the second largest casino after my co-hosts are maybe doing something. Not Rudy. Have you met Rudy? This is we're here. So there we go. My co-host is napping, but the show's all about him anyway. So if he does anything interesting, I'll be sure to let you know. Right. So Fox was at the time was second largest, and I know we have someone here from Connecticut, and what's going on is Mohegan Sun and Connecticut Mohegan Sun and Foxwoods in Connecticut compete, and they build each other up. And turns out Mohegan Sun, I just did Connecticut a couple of weeks ago. Mohegan Sun, well, I'm not going to zoom in. Hey, the last time I tried to pick up a cat and on the live stream, we heard this growl that doesn't work. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. We'll see if we can encourage him to get into antics. They're a cat. I can't tell what to do. Right. So Mohegan Sun is currently larger than Foxwoods, but about a little more than a year ago, when I was there, it's I went for a they called it Gamble Palooza, recreational podcasters. None of them do slots except hardly mentioning them because they didn't know what you could say, I guess. I got it covered, AK. They met up, and it was a 3-day event. And so I had an opportunity to meet Mark and Dr. Mike from You Can Bet on That podcast, which I think is just great. It's almost family oriented. Their kids do a little bit on it, and they sort of sing out. What is that called? Capitello. They sort of sing out the number to call to leave a message, and it's cute and fun. And there's the grandfather and the sister, and they're who does like slots and all that. And sometimes I call in. But Dr. Mike is just a huge craps fan, and so is Mark Duvall, although apparently poker is kind of his game, but he likes craps too and likes playing with Dr. Mike. They're getting close to retirement, but they've been doing this since they were in high school or something, or not high school, but college, and college buddies. Anyway, Mark taught me how to play craps. I don't remember much of it, but he did teach me. So, one of the things I saw at Foxwoods, it's like 9 casinos. If you've been to WinStar, it's just like a littler version of that. WinStar is the largest casino, I think, in the world, certainly in the United States. And so I did a lot of walking. My feet got very sore. I need better shoes for this sort of thing. But then I had a high... this is not the building, but this is the reservation for Foxwoods, and that shadow is the shadow of the building. Can you see this well? Maybe you can. There's a Heidi's Brew House right here, a slot machine. And if you are headed to lunch going this way towards the Grand Cedar Casino Hotel, and Grand Cedar Garage and the restaurants, before lunch, that's the machine to play, because people are walking by and you can see it. Now there's another machine, which if you were standing on the other end of the hallway and looking back, you'd be kind of facing another machine, and that's the one to win on. So this is understanding the location, how the location of a slot machine matters. And also I found, so I didn't get a lot of success from the strategy one there, but I did get placement of the slot machine along busy walkways at busy times, with that moving when the busyness was coming towards us and when the busyness was moving away from us in this main hallway. That was useful. And, I won a couple $100 doing that. But I also watched people that 4 o'clock the morning, one of the mornings, he's just sitting there and just winning endlessly on this Heidi Brewhouse. Interesting gentleman, to say the least. But he was winning and winning. Everybody was standing around, which was the whole point. If a casino gives out a hand pay, it would very much like to get some of that back. And one way to do that is for people to see that win and then get encouraged to go play. And okay, so this is $4,500. My W-2G, I blocked off my home address, even though it was my former. No, this is my current. So that's blocked off, and that's a W-2G for my, let's see, 7 slots was the name of the machine. And that's the date, $100 denomination machine. This is all part of the high limit slots pool, which I might have a picture of. Right. I don't know how much you follow recreational gambling podcasts, but that is Eric Rosenthal, and he is looking at the call sheet. And this right here is Vito. He's now turned to wrestling, I guess, and he's bearing somebody or other. He likes that sort of thing. And this is his cousin, Mike. And so if you ever wondered what these people look like, well, maybe I'll show you what they look like here. So I did 2 articles. Whoops. Did not do 2 articles. It was, right, this one. So group photo is what I'm trying to get to you. Here's a little clear image of that Heidi's Brewhouse. And this is many of the recreational gambling podcasters that you might know. And I'm, of course, wearing my Professor Slot shirt. And this is Vito over here, Alan, Eric. Where is Dr. Mike? Is kind of that Mark Duvall, and I think Dr. Mike is one of these 2 gentlemen, mostly blocked. And it was a fun time was had by all. So let's get into some of the chat. I have several of these articles. Getting the idea that you prep beforehand, you have initial conversations with people. One of the things that I did here, is that showing on the screen when I left it, was talking to the staff, questioning the host, talking to the slot attendants. Are they busy? Finding a floor manager if you possibly can, saying, how's it going today? And these are the things you want to do. So I want to work through this, at various casinos. And if I can get funded, with my YouTube channel mostly, and also any way that you can help with donations, I'll get on a plane and go to some of the bigger casinos in the United States, instead of just like driving to what I can reach in a day. All right. Rudy is tired. Yeah, sure he is. I'm going to try that again. He's kind of like black on black. You can only see his white parts. So let's take a look at some of the chat that I might have been missing. I understand it's been proceeding for a little while. Let's see. Initial walkthrough assessment of a new casino. Now, new casinos, I don't even know if I have to assess those. Go. All right. You can see the return statistics of any new casinos. ProfessorSlots.com/ABC27. I won't bring it up on here because it goes to the evening news at Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. If you have suggestions on casinos, put them in the live chat or put a comment on this video. I'll consider it, knowing that there is interest, but it's also a matter of my being able to get there and have like a schedule. So first come, first served. Yes. Where I'm at. Comments. So on the new casinos, the ones that are opening in their first month or first year, and it's just obvious. You can see the return statistics on some of those states. So the states that don't have return statistics, you could still take it as a given. Horseshoe Cincinnati was great the first year, opened in March, and it was great that whole year. And seriously, 90 taxable jackpots or 50 that year. And I started the middle of November, got to 7 stars in 6 weeks. What the heck? That wasn't me. I mean, I tried not to lose it all and started figuring stuff out. And that's why I wrote a book and all that. Second year was harder. It took until August to get 7 stars status again. So it was definitely, more of a challenge, but still 7 stars in 9 months and 8 months. Who does that? It's a Caesars Rewards program in the top tier. And so, that's still good. The only thing better would have been the first year, right? But Miami Valley Gaming, when that was new, it went from a horse track to also having slots. So they built a whole building. That was great for the first month only. So, it can vary, but when it first opens, try to be there. Now, if you like table game players know this already for their own reasons. And the reasons being that you get a lot of new dealers who don't understand quite what they're doing and they make mistakes. And if the mistake hurts you, you tell them. And if the mistake benefits you, it's not your responsibility to say, is what the thing is. So sometimes you can win that way when casino first opens, and saw some of that at MGM Springfield about this time last year. Right. So Chuck is here. AK is here. Yes, thank you for saying so, AK. They say great Facebook groups, and as well as the main group, Professor Slots Enthusiasts and Alabama Slots Enthusiasts and Alaska Slots Enthusiasts. I don't think I have anybody in Virginia. No, Vermont. For some reason, every state is a little bit different. I gotta say, Oklahoma, you're booming. I mean, you just went over 500 members. That's great. It's a join process. I select people if they're interested in promoting their own channel or CBD oil or any of a number of different things. I review to make sure that do what I can to make sure that they understand the rules, and if they violate them, it's easy enough to kick somebody off. So that's why it's safe. I may need to have more moderators right now. Paula moderates. Thank you, Paula. Moderates the live chat while I'm talking, but I moderate the 57 Facebook groups, and even now, Professor Slots Enthusiasts, I think, is getting to it's 500 itself. So those are the 2 largest. Washington is huge. Northern Mariana Islands is surprisingly busy. So I'm doing the territories as well. And, California is growing as well. So I started these a year ago. And when people, I first created them, people were like, well, it's pretty small. And I'm like, well, yeah, it's only a day old, but now it's a year old and it's getting to be kind of what I was hoping for. So you just make an effort and you see how this works out. Let's see. Bruce says, so the casinos who do not like, I guess, using electronics in the casino, have apps to find my way around. Yes, it's a transition. They don't like you to use your camera. I mean, you can use your compass on your device, but they don't like you to record. And the reasons are very straightforward, having to do with copyright infringement. Copyright infringement and privacy. So you need a signed release from the face of any individual that you might show publicly later. There's a lot of people in the casino. That's why a lot of the slot channels just do the machine in front of them. Now, the machine in front of them has two possible copyright infringements. The first one is the machine is copyrighted. It's got a little, but the casino has said that you can record if you have a contract with them. But that's only because it's private property, not because of the copyright on the machine. That's actually a slot manufacturer, which nobody is dealing with. But they're kind of okay with it until they're not okay with it, which is kind of a risky thing. But, for now, I figure they're going to want a buck or two eventually. And it's just like something that's not looking like it's going to end well. So I don't do that. And then there's music. YouTube has gotten all over this first. They say if you play 1 second of music that's copyrighted, their algorithm will pick it out and give you a copyright strike. You get 3 and then you lose your channel. All right. So remember when I told you that a lot of people start showing up right towards the end? Well, we're getting there now. There's about 10 minutes left, and now we're getting the spike. So I'm for those who are just joining, I'm going over some casino trip reports. The links are in the show notes, and this is a podcast episode which you can watch on my live stream. And I have a website, professorslots.com. If you go to it, you can find articles on casino reviews. Those are here. If you go to state by state, you can go to a summary article, which alphabetically goes through every state. I have an article on every state. I do one per week. So it takes me about 13 months to get through all of them. And I do the territories as well. Or you can just go to every article. And all this kind of said that pretty succinctly. So these casino reviews, I've been going over several of them and showing the results of my walking in and group photos from events. And some of them, like West Wendover, it's kind of a picture of it here. It's on the border to Utah, 120 miles directly west from Salt Lake City, which is a place where there's a lot of casinos and not much else, but it's closest to people who want to gamble who are in Utah. Let's see. Yeah. Dennis says Foxwoods and Mohegan Sun have some of the largest, biggest jackpots in the world. Yeah, I guess. I kind of give up on the top jackpots, much less the top progressive jackpots. I mean, if you go to the Nevada gaming regs, the return statistics, and you look at megabucks, $34 million. Right, you look at that, and it's like that's barely above. It's lower than anything, lower than any other machine, and it's just like, it's a life-changing jackpot. But and they're also getting to be fewer and fewer. Why? Because they're at several casinos. It's the only way you can get those totals. It takes 8 hours. Just having a conversation with somebody who won $250,000 approximately, was it 4 days ago, at one of the Oklahoma casinos, Windstar in Oklahoma, and he was telling me privately, but I won't show you photos or say names or anything like that. But he said it took him 8 hours to get some cash from that casino, and then they wired the rest to it, and apparently had to go through Ainsworth. That's a slot machine manufacturer. So these, the reason why it was that long hours of waiting is because it's not all the money that's in the casino. It's in other casinos. It's called a wide area network. And if those other casinos choose to, fight, well, I'm not going to pay, their share because they have one of those machines and they're adding to the total. But then one of the other casinos wins and they can't get their advertising, bump from that because it was one of the other casinos. Sometimes they're like, I'm not going to do it, and they get the lawyers involved, and the winner may never win. That kind of legal liability, it's called, is something that's driving a lot of the smaller casinos away from wide area progressives, because it's just the legal costs are outrageous. Yeah. Yeah, I liked it at Foxwoods as well. It's the long and short of it. Yeah, it's great to see jackpot wins. I know that because I was surrounded by people so many times, and but then sometimes they get angry too, because I was winning hand pay after hand pay, 3, 4 of them. And there was a couple over on the side in the high limit room, and back when Horseshoe Cincinnati was Horseshoe. And they just kind of looked at me at one point when I happened to glance their way and say, "Are you done yet?" I'm like, "Yeah, I think I am." Not important not to laugh at people being funny. Right. So yes, Jason, Michigan's Firekeepers is on my list. I probably go to Soaring Eagle first. That's that's my aunt's favorite casino, my father's favorite casino in Florida. I've already gone there and reviewed it, but it was one of the very first ones before he was even doing articles. And I did that for my sister. And learned some things, and I want to go try them out again these days. Like I said, you wait a year and you really have to reassess places. So Firekeepers is on my list. Also, Four Winds, but not the great one I heard about, New Buffalo, but the one just inside of Indiana, which is South Bend. And that's my closest entirely Class 2 games, because they can't have Class 3 games in Indiana. So I wanted to learn more about those, and help people who have questions, mostly from Oklahoma, who have questions about playing those slot machines. Not entirely from Oklahoma, but a lot of them are. In Oklahoma, tribal casinos, they're about a 45% Class 2, 55% Class 3. The competition style versus the Las Vegas style, call it half and half. And I don't know any other casinos that are at that ratio, but it's because of the compact they have with the governor, which they were arguing about almost a year ago now, but resolved, sort of. Right. To details. Yep. Jason said, so I will do. Yeah, it's family. I'll probably stay with them. But thank you, Jason. I'll let you know if I need a room. Okay, so AK is saying contemplating which day to go to Firekeepers next week, the 24th, 25th. I would go the morning of the 25th. That's the best bet, because my assumption is the night of the 24th will be busy, or at least as busy as it's going to get during this difficult time. And so, probably not as early as 3 a.m. 4 a.m. may be okay. It's honestly about 3:30 a.m. And it's all over by 7 o'clock. Now, if it's closed for cleaning for 2 hours or something, then if it's closed before 3:30, don't come before 3:30. But if it's open for half an hour, if it closes at 4 o'clock in the morning, then you might want to be there at 3:30 and play for 30 minutes to see if you can swoop in and get that, what I call an accounting adjustment for the busy night before. Otherwise, you can be like the first one in once they reopen for cleaning, because we have all this cleaning stuff, and I don't know what the cleaning schedule is in the morning, and if they have one at Firekeepers next week. A lot of them do. Right. Right. So I think I answered that question for AK. Jason, 26 between 8 and 10 p.m. in High Limits Room. Hey, see, if you talk to people who've actually been there, and I know Jason does decent, then maybe that's what you need. Let's see, AK finally. All right, so what is it? Yeah, good luck, AK. Yeah, high limit rooms are their own thing. That's personally what I like, but my audience likes penny machines, but I try to stay away from those. But these assessments isn't my taking in $2,000, $3,000, my typical amount, which I can't afford right now, or shouldn't try to spend in a high limit room because I have a small audience. There are some who are interested, but man, look at the numbers climb. We're really getting a lot of people coming in. And so I will take $200 or $300 on these casino reviews, and I will focus on the majority of my report, majority of my audience, the biggest segment, which is not the high limit players. But on the other hand, there are plenty of things I can do in the high limit room and tell you about that matter. Like, is there anybody there? I mean, I went to, was it Caesar's Palace high limit room? I went to 8 different high limit rooms in my last the last Las Vegas trip? No, the first Las Vegas trip. And I met a guy who met Frank Sinatra, a slot attendant, and it talk about dead, and this is a sign. You should recognize this. And so, I can talk about what I see in the high limit room. And, there was one in, I get all these email messages and people, and anyway, if it's busy, it's because people are winning at least some. If it's empty, it's because there's definitely people everywhere who love high limit rooms. And if it's dead, it's because they were forced away by not winning. So, how can you expect to win when nobody else is? All right, so high limit rooms, and we're counting down here. A few more seconds. Life is short. Hey, Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Please be safe. Enjoy your family. Welcome to all the new people. And for you listening on the podcast, we'll move on to the next section. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye. Remember to visit ProfessorSlots.com/subscribe to get my free report revealing the top 7 online resources for improving your gambling performance, including the one I've used as a top-tier slot machine casino gambler. This is the next segment of the show on slot machine casino gambling. Here I provide a brief overview of the current state of gambling in a U.S. state, territory, or the federal district, emphasizing by far anything of interest to slot machine casino gamblers. Up next is Delaware slot machine casino gambling in 2020. Here goes. Delaware slot machine casino gambling consists of 3 casinos offering video lottery terminal (VLT) style slot machines remotely controlled off-site by the state lottery. The minimum legal gambling age in Delaware depends upon the gambling activity. It's 21 for land-based casinos. For poker rooms, it's 18 or 21 if alcohol is served. It's 18 for bingo, the lottery, and parimutuel wagering. At Delaware's casinos, the minimum bet is 1 penny. The maximum bet is $2,500. Notably, Delaware has a policy of winner privacy. Gaming terminals fall under this privacy stipulation, so casinos cannot release the names of winners for promotional purposes unless the winner specifies otherwise. Next up is a usually short statement about slot machine private ownership, which I have included in case you live in this U.S. state and are considering owning a slot machine. Here it is. In Delaware, it is legal to privately own slot machines which are 25 years old or older. The Delaware Gaming Commission is Delaware Lottery Games. This state agency is responsible for providing gaming regulations for VLT-style gaming machines and table games. Further, enforcing Delaware's gaming laws is a responsibility of the state's Division of Gaming Enforcement, DGE. In this section, I'll discuss Delaware gambling establishments. Delaware has 3 parimutuel racetracks with VLT gaming machines offering multiple games of video slots, video blackjack, video poker, and video keno. The largest casino in Delaware is Casino at Delaware Park, with 2,038 terminals in November 2020. The second largest casino is Dover Downs Hotel and Casino with 2,122 terminals in November 2020. The 3 casinos in Delaware are 1. Casino at Delaware Park in Wilmington, 32 miles southwest of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. 2. Dover Downs Hotel and Casino in the state capital of Dover, 53 miles south of Wilmington. And 3. Harrington Raceway and Casino in Harrington, 25 miles south of Dover at the Delaware State Fairgrounds. There are no tribal casinos in Delaware as this state has no federally recognized tribes. As an alternative to enjoying Delaware slot machine casino gambling, consider exploring casino options in a nearby state. Bordering Delaware is to the north, Pennsylvania to the northeast, New Jersey, and to the south and west, Maryland. To visit any of my articles on these U.S. states, simply visit ProfessorSlots.com followed by its two-letter postal designation. For example, my Pennsylvania slots article is available at ProfessorSlots.com/PA. Online gaming for real money gambling, including slots as well as poker and other casino games, exists in Delaware, although an online player must be at least 21 and physically located within the state's borders. See each casino website for links to this gambling option offered by Delaware. Delaware is one of the original states where sports betting was available in 2009. Sports betting is for multiple games of professional and college sporting events. Further, to help Delaware compete with casinos in nearby states, all Delaware casinos offer table games of craps, blackjack, and roulette. The availability of other table games depends upon each casino. Are you interested in sharing and learning with other slots enthusiasts in Delaware? If so, join our Delaware Slots community on Facebook at ProfessorSlots.com/FBDE. All you'll need is a Facebook profile to join this private Facebook group freely. There, you'll be able to privately share your slots experiences as well as chat with players about slots gambling in or near Delaware. Again, use this convenient link I've created to go directly to our group on Facebook, ProfessorSlots.com/FBDE. Join us. The minimum and maximum theoretical payout limits for Delaware's gaming machines are 87% and 95% as an annual average for each machine. Further, games may have a theoretical payout higher than 95% with approval from the Director of Delaware Lottery Games. No list is publicly available of which machines the Director has given this approval. Delaware's casinos do not directly control the odds of winning on their VLT-style slot machines. Instead, Delaware Lottery Games controls the odds of winning remotely and off-site from the casinos. Monthly return statistics are online at Video Lottery Monthly Proceeds and Distributions at Delaware Lottery Games under the latest entry for monthly proceeds and track data. To calculate a player's win percent, divide amount won by amount played for a month, then multiply by 100%. The November 2020 player win percents for each casino were Delaware Park, 92%, Dover Downs, 92.2%, Harrington Raceway, 92%. In summary, Delaware slot machine casino gambling consists of 3 parimutuel racetracks offering video lottery terminal-style gaming machines controlled off-site by the state lottery and offering multiple games of video slots, video poker, video keno, and video blackjack. Over the last year, casino at Delaware Park has moved up from 3rd largest to largest casino in Delaware, with Dover Downs dropping to 2nd largest. Remember to visit ProfessorSlots.com/subscribe to get my free report revealing the top 7 online resources for improving your gambling performance, including the one I've used as a top-tier slot machine casino gambler. Part 1 of the next episode of the Professor Slots podcast will include a live-stream Q&A session on YouTube. Next week's live stream will be about reviewing 2020 and changes to watch for in 2021. Remember, my weekly Q&A session on YouTube is on Saturdays from noon until 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Bring whatever slots questions you have, and I'll do my best to answer them. An easy-to-remember link to my YouTube channel is youtube.com/ProfessorSlots. Feel free to stop by anytime during my hour-long live Q&A session. Part 2 of the next episode of the Professor Slots podcast is another brief overview of the current state of gambling in a U.S. state, territory, or the federal district. Next time, I'll be talking to you about the one and only great U.S. federal district, the District of Columbia. That's the end of another great episode of the Professor Slots podcast. Thanks so much for listening. Show notes for this episode are on my website at ProfessorSlots.com/episode 122. I plan to have the next episode come out very soon for you, where I'll have more amazing content for the show. Until the next episode, have fun, be safe, and make good choices. Merry Christmas, everybody. Bye.